So we're going to be pointing out all the plastic surgery that all these there's a line right here and a line right there. I think that's pretty normal. This was the first plastic surgery Billy had. Then there's his eyebrows are lifted up. I'll tell you why that's important. And he has extremely baggy eyes. So that's that. And then let's look over to Paul. Paul doesn't have those baggy eyes. This is the real Paul. And his eyebrows aren't that extensive to what we know. Actually, they are. If you look at the 1961, if you look over here, whoa. So they're kind of hanging off. I don't know. This one doesn't look like Paul. This one's crazy. Okay, so you can see that he has a beard, which makes it 10 times harder, which was his intent to do. The mustache also covers up stuff. I want to mention that. I can't wait till he doesn't have a mustache and it's in color. So you can see that the indent is right there. It's on the right side, like mine. So, his hair parts to the right instead of what Paul's did. Let's just look up here, which is part to the left. If you can look at both of these images, you can see that his head doesn't look quite right. You can see that his forehead has this kind of bump, like it's going in on itself. You can't see it on this side because the hair is covering it. So, you can still see that. The little thing. That's not that good. Hold on. That. Those are all plastic surgery lines. Let's see, previously done plastic surgery. So I believe something was done somewhere around here. Probably somewhere around here. It's my personal opinion. I'm not a plastic surgeon, so I could be wrong. So I don't want someone who isn't a plastic surgeon proving me wrong, like saying, "Oh, you don't know what." Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, you don't either. So what's your point? So if you're a plastic surgeon, please present yourself. And if you don't have any content on your channel, and I'll check, and you comment like, hey, blah blah blah, this isn't actually a plastic surgery line. You don't have any content on your channel, I'm gonna assume that you're not a plastic surgeon. You actually need content, so that's just my requirement. Anyway, that's not a part of this. You can see that Paul has a drastic, well, that's actually drastic. You can see that line is kind of still there, but it's more, and now you can see more of how his facial structure is. I believe that was done by plastic surgery. It's my personal belief. You can also see here where his hair begins and where his hair begins. Once again, you got these lines. Once again, you got these lines. It's a little long, but and you can't see it because of the microphone right here, but there's a little indent somewhere around there. believe it's right there. No, a little bit up. Like right under the lip. Probably there was some plastic surgery on the lip. Now you can see that the bottom lip is much thinner. Now you can see more of the plastic surgery. You see there? He has that mustache that he had before. Kind of a return to the 1968 version of Paul. You can see that he must have had something right there. And then his ears are covered, but there's hundreds of photos of the real Paul and this Paul. So, And his eyelids are like, Now he no longer has that beard. But it's in black and white, which I hate. But doesn't make it harder, necessarily. But it's kind of blurry, And then it seems they had some plastic surgery, I would assume, somewhere around here, at this time. So, and probably some on his chin. And that's always, like, he probably had it shortened and shortened and shortened. It's not quite as short as it is today, but, how it is. You see these lines again. This line. It's pretty obvious. And the chin. As I mentioned earlier, the faces, the lines on the face are very different. You can finally see something more clear. You can see that his eyebrows were changed. It's just a fun thing. I wanted to say that. Now you can see that his eyebrows are just dipping off of his face. Like they're going really low. Like, holy. So, that was probably plastic surgery. So, there's that. And then there's apparently it changed this. For some reason, he just did that. Seems that the chin at this point was much softer and had a change. So there's this. We're not pointing out the eyebrows right now. We already did. So, seems like something happened right along here. And something happened around there. And of course, it's this weird squiggly line right there. And right there is the, And I think it's important to point out the lips because they're like the same. If you look at this, they're very thin, like the 1971. They're getting less thin, and same about that one. This one, I hate Paul's look, Billy's look with a goatee because it's horrible. It's not so good. There's that, and there's, hold on. That was purpose. That was done with purpose. I don't know why, but it looks like the 1967 version. He looks like him from Strawberry Fields. And then he has this weird thing. That was plastic surgery. And then he has this chin. Just more plastic surgery. It's longer face. Okay. So it must have had plastic surgery again because, let's do till 1980 and then we'll stop. And now he had this thing going. His face was like, that was his face. The side of his face has always been weird. You see, lips are still thin, but they're like noticeable. So yeah. And then there's it's not really the dents anymore on that one. Yeah, just this dent right there. The plastic surgery dent. That's what I mean. This one is just probably trying to piss me off. There's these lines. And then there's that mustache, so I can't really say anything like, hey, then there's that. I'm trying not to, yeah. And then Paul had this weird thing where his face went, oh. So, and once again mentioning the eyebrows, because if you look, only 5 years earlier, they were more hanging off, and these caterpillars, and then just that, which is just weird. Alrighty, so we got that happening, and then obviously that. And the eyebrows. Face is long. For some reason. I don't know why. You're gonna have to ask Paul. This one's a fun photo. Because, And, And then his eyebrows are hanging off. Why? That's so unneeded. And there's something done right around here, right near his eye, too. Let's compare and contrast the 1977 version and the... Seems that his eyes are way bigger. Does that help? Well, if you look at anything after 1961, yeah, kind of does. And I think they might have tried to do that with the 1968 version. Anyway, let's look at 1979 and then eventually 1980. And there's still that little chin thing. It's weird. And he always had this little, he had that bump always. It was like more straight here. When did he get, like, changed? Because originally, his chin went in like a U or V shape. Yeah, something like that. And then you move on to a year. His face makes more of a U shape, a very long U. Then if you go over here, it makes a different U shape. And again, if you move over here, you can see it clearer. You can see it makes it closer to the A shape. Something must have gone wrong, or he did that on purpose. And this is where we get the new Paul, the Paul that looks like him from 1965. And it's got a lot of plastic surgery marks. Probably some down there. I'm not sure. It really just goes, and there's that. And they're starting to get better at plastic surgery by this point. I think the late 90s is where they get really good at plastic surgery. And into the 2000s, and then after that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 250 subscribers. So, thank you, and goodbye.